So the moral of the story is if you're going to go to a Coldplay concert, don't do so in front of a camera that's going to be shown to tens of thousands of people and God knows however many else. Which, if
Amen.
anyone who sees the story, you know exactly what I'm talking about right now because that is the moment that we're recording this. Anywho, it is July 17th, 2025. Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, alongside myself, John Laws. And we're going to be talking a lot about Boca Raton this evening, a place that, of course, we're both very familiar with, but Larry even more so because he has put together his latest housing market report, diving into the numbers of everything that's been going on with this housing market. Things are, not bad, not great, but either way, I mean, it's obviously transitioning to a certain extent, which you have been saying for some time now. You knew it was coming, but there's no hiding it anymore. I mean, the house prices are falling, the inventory's climbing. Sellers who wait may lose more than they think. The part that caught me when I was watching the report was how home values of Boca Raton just took a 12% hit. So when you look at it that way, houses are losing 1% of their value every month. And I'm like, wow, that's something about that makes it sound a whole lot worse. But either way, I still don't feel like the sky's falling. Maybe it is, and I just am not aware of it. Either way, ignorance is bliss. But Larry, when you had an opportunity to look over these numbers and seeing where we are through Q2 of 2025, what's your gut feeling on all of this right now?
The reality is if it is an actual year-over-year 12% price drop consistently, I mean, that's a pretty serious number, right? I mean, that's like, the Great Recession started this way, right? So, like, obviously it went much lower than this, but 12% is huge. To your point, 1% a month.
That's something about that stat kind of was like, oh, wow, that just puts it in perspective.
That's what I've been telling sellers to think of it like this. Like, I mean, I own some property that we're flipping right now, and I have the same thing going through my head. Every month, the property's worth 1% less. And if you do that math, you're like, holy smokes, we should just sell this thing right away if we're going to sell, or we should hold for a while if we're going to hold. But yeah, that feels, you feel it when you start to say 1% per month. Now, again, I don't think this number's wrong. I'm just the 12%. The average price growth is negative 12%. So prices have come down 12% on average when you compare, July to July, right? Mm-hmm. July of this year to July of last year. So remember, this is a month compared to another month. So is it truly that this past July might have been a little rougher than previous Julys in the past? So that could be suggesting that, maybe March was better. Maybe August will be better, right? So it's not to say that that's exactly the fact that it's not to say the fact is that 12%, the property values have dropped 12%, but it's in that range. But when you look at the average and you compare it to the median, and the median is negative 10%, you start to say, whoa, okay.
Right, because you're always talking about the differences with the median and the average, particularly in this market.
Yeah, so then you start to say, okay, average is saying 12%. The median is pretty darn close to that at 10% drop. You're like, what? Maybe this is true. And then you look back and you look at March, April, May, and June, and you're like, well, these months are also suggesting prices are coming down at varying amounts. So the reality is prices are coming down on overall. And then you got to like zone in on your specific asset type and try to understand that. And we could talk a little bit about that. But this is serious. This is serious. And this is usually the data we're looking at today isn't reflective of the market we're in right now or the market that's coming. We've been saying this for a while, right? We've been saying prices feel like they're going to come down, not because we're just guessing at this. It's because of what we feel in the market. Like when we're working with clients, sellers, buyers, it feels like prices are going to come down. And then we look at the stats and they don't show that right away. And then you go ahead and you let time go by and all of a sudden they start showing up later. And so guess what I'm saying is these numbers are lagging, right? Because these are sale price numbers.
Right.
It takes 2 or 3 months to get a sale price number, right? So
No, but I mean, so have you been feeling like things? I know you said you felt like it had been slowing down, but had again, like, did you feel once you saw these numbers like, oh man, it's like I knew it was something like this, or were you kind of taken back by the actual data, compared to what you've been experiencing in the field?
No, I think it's pretty accurate. Like, okay, there's specific examples that we can call out, and almost always in this market right now, we're experiencing something like this. There's select outliers, but for the most part, if you bought a home in 22, 23, 24, you're probably selling it today for less than you paid for it, even if you did updates. And that's been an experience we've had representing a number of sellers who were in that situation, in that circumstance. We have sellers right now that are trying to sell and they can't get it done because they're trying to get out without taking the L, and it's just not happening. It's not happening. And then others we have listed way below what they paid for it a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we're still having a hard time selling it. So
really,
yeah. And these are like quality. Some of these are quality product, like single family home, purchased for $950 a year and a half ago, on the market now at $800, not selling. What's up?
So in other words, are the flippers aren't doing well right now?
The flippers. I mean, we have flippers that are in trouble in some deals, right? They've purchased, renovated, putting it back on the market, and they can't get out of the thing. So they're either just going to hold it, or they're just going to sell with the loss and just move on with their lives, right? So, or they have to figure out how to deal with the hard money loan they took, and maybe they have to short sale or something like that. We're in those situations too. So there's more short sale discussions now than there have been in a while. And it's because people get caught in this change, right? They just got caught, and they were short-term investors, and or the deal that they thought they were doing didn't pan out the way they wanted to. So now they want out. They want their money back, but in most cases, they're not getting it back.
I didn't know you could do short sales on houses.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. So the gist is like you're in over your head. You owe more than the property is worth, and that's happening in some cases. Not a lot, but in some cases. And you go to the bank and you just say, hey, listen, you can either take the keys, or we can work as a team and sell this thing. I'm not going to make any money, and you're going to lose money, but it's better than you taking it and trying to sell it yourself, Mr. Bank. So that's what happens. And so we're doing a couple of those right now.
So I guess also for everybody who's just holding on to it, and because they don't have to sell right now, a lot of them are they just going to the rental market? I mean, what do you do in a case like that? Because we've talked about many times how with a lot of these homes, obviously with the snowbirds and others, where it's a seasonal thing, just leave it empty and let it sit.
This is the unique thing about South Florida. A lot of people that own homes, and especially some of these condos, they don't need to sell them. They can just let them sit. They've been sitting anyway in most cases, right? Like haven't. So like if they go to market and they don't get what they want, or it just doesn't make sense for them to sell, they just pull it off the market. And thus we see a high rate of delistings, people putting it on the market and pulling it off. To the tune of, in some stats, it was 50%, right? I don't have the exact stat here, but it was a huge number of delistings.
Yeah, right? Nationally, right. I saw in Miami, I think it was up to like 30%, I believe.
Yeah. So again, because these are secondary homes, usually people who are well off enough to carry these, they just continue to hold them. And so they don't do anything, or they consider renting. We have people that have purchased and are considering renting, but if they rent it, they're not going to make enough to cover the mortgage. So they're in this like, okay, I'm going to lose money every month by renting it. I'm going to lose a bunch of money by selling it right now. What do I do? And this is just So what has happened over the past 15 years is everybody looked like a genius investor, right? They bought property, the market kept going up, everybody did okay, nobody got stuck. It just worked out, right? And now, well, the market's changing a bit, so the people who didn't do good deals are in a situation where it's just lose if you rent it, lose if you sell it. Maybe I can't tolerate losing every month for a while renting it, so I'm just going to sell it for less than I paid for it. Or I have a life event and I need to get the heck out and I need to go somewhere. I'm relocating for work, whatever. I got to sell the darn thing. I sell it and I take the L. So, gosh, there's so many people like that right now. I'm thinking about our list of sellers and I'm just like, oh, he's like that, she's like that, they're like that. There's a ton of people that are in this situation, and so anyway, that's the price data, right? That's just the price data. That's a little. I mean, I don't think it's like concerning to a degree where like we panic, right? To your point, which you were alluding to, and I'm kind of making this more dramatic right now, right? I like prices have gone up so much that this is probably a good thing. Sellers probably don't want to hear that right now. But it's probably a good thing. It's the natural ebb and flow of the marketplace. And if the rates come down like 1%, it's not gonna change completely. I still think you're gonna get that sluggish market that we're experiencing right now. It might just be a little bit better, right? So I know some sellers are sitting here saying, "Oh, well, the rates are going to go down. You know, the president's going to impact that and make the Fed adjust rates, et cetera, et cetera." Number one, the Fed doesn't control mortgage rates directly; it influences it. And so, number two, like how I get they can move rates a bit, and that might be good for the national debt, et cetera. But overall here, like it's probably not going to change the world that you live in as a buyer or a seller too much. It'll help. It's going to help. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to change your life. I don't think in most cases as a seller, when you start seeing prices come down by 12% and then the rates come down by 1%, and now you think maybe the prices are going to go up like 12%. It's just not the case in my opinion. So yeah. Oh yeah, this is good stat, right? So
I know I was trying to pull up some of the figures here and failing.
So this is City of Boca Raton data, right? 612,000 this year, or this June, 682 last June, 10% decrease. I mean, that says it all. It's median stats, and we've been seeing this consistently for the other months. So it's a thing. It's a thing. It's happening.
Right. I mean, and you always talk about how generally when we're looking at some of the line charts and trends, how, from what, January through like May or February through May, that those were the hottest times of the year. So in the past, it was like, yeah, they were always doing better at that time and then leveling off, so people would see it and they'd be like, oh, well, it's dropped off from this month. And it's like, well, it always does. That's not the problem. But once it looks like at that same hot time of the year, it's suddenly not hot anymore, that's when you're concerned.
Yeah, 100%. And there's so many other indicators that are supporting why this is happening, right? So the big one is, if I'll share my screen.
Mine wasn't good enough, huh?
Oh wait, no, yours might be good.
Which one do we need here?
So this is the sale to original list price ratio, and so what we're seeing here is just pretty straightforward. And this has been relatively the same over the past year, 12 months. But this is also relatively normal in a more stable market like 2015 to 2019.
Right.
We're seeing that homes sell for about 8% less than they ask on average. And that's what we're seeing now, 8 to 10, somewhere in that space, 90% sale to original list price ratio, right? So somewhere in that space. And this to me feels okay, but it's also just an indication of, previously when the market's hot, you see like 100%, right? Early 22, late 21, it was 100% or more sale to original.
Yeah, I mean, these are the hot months, and this is when it was dropping off.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we were telling some clients in like March. We're like, hey, March doesn't feel like previous Marches, right? So just be aware of that, and probably makes sense to get it done now, because you probably don't want to be around in August. If you're selling in March, if you're trying to sell in March. And we've seen people drag it out and get hurt. So patient sellers in this market tend to get hurt, whereas patient sellers in 2020, 2019, they made a lot of money because the market ran up. Now the market's doing the opposite. So act differently. And some sellers don't believe that or can't process that because they're looking at the history and they're like, oh yeah, my friends or whatever, or when I sold a home in 2020, it made sense to be a little stubborn or a little tough on the price. And it's like, now that's probably not the same action you want to take. But it's hard for people to kind of change their paradigm. Right. So, yeah, this is what I was going to share. Let me share, and then you can share yours again, because you got all the good stuff. Number of listings, right? Just the data. Right here, it's in Boca, it was 1,500-ish listings in 2023, and now we're 2,500, 2,600, somewhere in that space listings. So we're up 1,000 listings on average here in Boca. So we've grown substantially the amount of supply, which is usually a byproduct of demand weakening. Right? Because more homes are sitting on the market longer, more homes are coming to market at the same time, and less people are buying them. And so as that happens, we see prices fall. I mean, this is supply demand in its purest form. So that's just a perfect indication. The same thing we've experienced for days on market data, right? Days on market 2 years ago, we saw 55, as low as 40 or 42. And now we're seeing, let's see, as high as 78 on average, 73. If you look at cumulative, if you look at cumulative, because people are messing around with their listings now, so they're putting it on, pulling it off, messing around. So cumulative calculates, takes into account everything.
I didn't know that was what that was actually meant.
So it's tracking all this stuff. And so you're in the 80s, which again, 80 days on market. You and I have talked about this. In between 2015 and 2019.
I mean, that's less than 3 months. I mean, that was kind of in my head always what I pictured traditionally, that it took a home to sell anyway.
It's fine. So that's fine to me. So the combination of even the inventory is acceptable. We're kind of back to that 2015, 2019 era inventory level. We're back to the 2015, 2019 days on market level. Same with the sale to original list price ratio data. That's all mirroring, pre-pandemic, if you will. And that to me feels good. Now prices are doing what they're doing because we're back to those levels on all the other stats. So we're just feeling that. And so again, these stats don't make me panic, which is good. And then if you kind of jump around and you look at what the absorption rate looks like, which is just a measure of, are we in a seller's market, buyer's market, neutral market, where are we at? And if you look at Boca, just in general, you can see most recent month was 6.95, and I'll explain this in a second. We went as high as 10. This was right around the election, November, December, right? Yeah. 10.21 months. So we peaked there. We came down a little bit, and now we're starting to climb back up. And you can see every season, preseason, we kind of peak a little bit, and we've been peaking higher and higher and getting less lows during the high season. So we went as low as 5.5, which is good. It's like a neutral market. So less than 5, seller's market, 5 to 6, neutral market, 6 and higher, buyer's market, right? So we're teetering on this that's way buyer's market. And then we got down to neutral market again. And now we're living in that buyer's market territory for sure right now. Overall, that's across the board. It feels like a buyer's market, and certain inventory classes or product classes are better or worse than others, right? Condos struggling much more, single family homes a lot less. Luxury.
Now, when you see this as just kind of really a roller coaster of inventory or absorption rate. Are the delistings having an impact on this?
Yeah, I mean, absorption rate is a function of if you just like think
if you add more, but I'm like, okay, so what if you're pulling it off? I mean, that's not taken into account.
Totally, it is because
Okay.
it's like basically a function of if sales continue at a steady pace, right? So the absorption of homes continue at the rate that is happening today or this month,
Right.
and then you don't add any new listings to the market, how fast will they all sell out, right? And so if you think about that, so if we delisted a bunch of homes, we're only looking at what's active right now, and then we're looking at the pace at which they're absorbed or the amount of transactions, sold units in a specific period of time. So the current actives compared to the sold units in a specific period of time. And you look at that and you think through, okay, so the delistings absolutely affect that because it'll actually, so if you delist, it'll improve the absorption rate. It'll make it look like.
Well, I just asked just because of that pattern, how it's almost like it's self-correcting.
This is, so what's happening here is like, here's an easy way to show you this too. Let's see, number of listings. Okay. To like break this down, because I've dwelled on this quite a bit. So again, you kind of see, okay, so you see active inventory kind of spike every preseason in most cases, right? It's like January, February, it starts to level out in February, right? Bingo. And then it starts to climb again, usually during the summer / early fall, but you can see it here. So same as last year, so end of summer / fall starts to climb all the way to December, then levels out during the season, then climbs again during the fall, and then again season, which is February, March, levels out again. You can kind of see it. The good thing is look at how in 23 that climb was huge, right? Yeah. That was a big change as far as number of listings. And now this season, or off season, if you will, less inventory hit the market. So this is signaling it's kind of slowing down a bit, that growth, right? So we may see this season again climb, but maybe it'll be less than last season. And I would expect that. That to me makes perfect sense, right? The macroeconomic picture hasn't changed a whole bunch, right? The interest rates are what drove this primarily, and then there's all these other factors, right? But this is a function of like interest rates. I don't know, maybe 50% interest rate, 50% a whole bunch of other little things, like, less Canadians buying homes here, et cetera, right? That type of stuff. Just random events like that. So long story short, I would expect this to probably be less of a growth. Let's see if this prediction is true. We'll check this in like whatever, I don't know, January again, and see if this feels like my thoughts are true. So again, it's softening. It's like, and by softening, I mean like it's leveling off. We probably have another 6 months, year of inventory growth, but not at the rate that it grew in 23, and probably not at the rate that it grew in 24, 25, or 24. So that's like a positive signal to me. If this thing was running away, like this was bigger than last year, that would be a little concerning. So, and we even saw a little dip here in June, which again, that's fine. It's gonna climb. I would make the bet right now that this starts climbing, and we've seen this every year, assuming the macroeconomic picture isn't too different year over year. So, and then you look at just like here. Let's see if this tells us anything. This is usually all over the place, but you can see these are number of sold homes. So January being the lowest, June maybe, March, April, June, usually the highest. So what I tell people every year is the velocity or the quantity of homes sold are the highest March, April, May, June, like that window, right? Usually April, May, June is, but people are going under contract in February, March, and then they show up April, May, June at the latest, and then the absorption starts to drop, or the number of solds start to drop off. And you can see this every year over and over again. That doesn't mean you're going to make more money by selling right now, because there's more inventory on the market, as you saw, every year. And every year there's more buyers here. Purely by this data shows that there's more buyers. More people are buying during these winter months, and then less people buy in November. Almost every year it kind of drops: November, December, January. And here's a thing I'll challenge. Like, if your realtor is telling you, and I hear this all the time, get on market for season. You want to be on market in November to sell your condo, or October, and we're right around the corner when things pick up in October, November. I mean, the data doesn't show that at all. Like,
well, that was my next question. Was
people say this all the time to me.
Yeah. When you look at some of this data, does it affect how you strategize with clients in terms of, hey, you know what, I don't think you should sell until September or something like that? I mean, is there anything telling in the data? Because like you said, it's like, oh, there's more homes, but there was also more buyers. Like how can you tell how many more is, I don't know. I'm just looking for insights here.
Yeah, no, it's great. So like, people ask me this all the time, and I tell people, you and I have trended this stuff. We've looked at it to try to make a case for one way or the other on our market analysis reports. And I haven't been able to like give you or give the people the definitive answer that you should list this time of year because you're going to make more money. That's usually not a true statement. List in February or March 1st and you'll make more money. Not usually the case, especially I don't think now. Like now, I like the market is coming down. Prices are coming down. And in March, prices don't magically come up. They only come up when you're post-pandemic and rates went to like zero. And now you're just starting to see the culmination of peak demand, inventory is already super low, and rates are super low. So you just got this fire that just got gasoline poured on it. Then you'll see prices start to climb. And so that's what we were seeing during the post rate drop era. You start to see every season prices start to climb and then level off. Prices start to climb and level off. And that's what we saw for 2-3 years. But it was because rates were low. But when we're at steady state market, all we're seeing is more homes sell during the season and then off season. Right. And that's it. Not prices go up every season and thus and then prices come down every off season. It's not like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's more of a macro trend that you're playing with when it comes to pricing. Prices are coming down. They will continue to come down most likely over the next 6 months. So thus, selling now is likely better. You'll make a little bit more money than if you sold in March, most likely. That's my opinion right now. Now, again, there'll be more inventory in March and there'll be more buyers in March. So it'll be a little bit more dynamic. We might have more interest, more people to talk to. Could we get competing offers? Maybe, but it's been 6 months now, and we got 6 months of falling comps with falling prices that they're basing their pricing off of. They're basing their offers off of. So again, prices will remain what they were, most likely, assuming rates don't drop dramatically or something like that. So if you're playing the I'm betting on rates drop game, yeah, maybe you get a little bit of a bump, but I still don't think you get this material change. I don't think if you want 600 for your house and it's worth today 500, selling in March is going to get you 600. There's like a rate drop of 1% is not going to bring you from 500 to 600. It's just not. Yeah. It's not going to bring you to.
I wouldn't be banking on that anyway.
Right. Well, that's my point. Because again, things have to appraise. Properties have to appraise when they got bank loans on them. Buyers are going to offer prices based on comps, and so it takes time for prices to climb back up. It doesn't just happen overnight because rates drop all of a sudden you get paid a bunch more money. It takes time. That's what we saw during the pandemic. Things came up and then flattened, it came up and flattened. So to answer your question, I think the answer is when it makes sense for you to sell, you put your home on the market. Timing the market is, no one can do that. Like, you just get lucky. That's just what happens. So you either got lucky or you didn't. And so you can try to get lucky, or you just don't, you're not worried about it. And you just hold until you have the perfect moment. And that's fine too, if you have no urgency. But if you need to sell or it's better for your life to sell, just sell. Don't be trying to play that game, because again, there may be one buyer out there. And we did this last year for shout out to Adam Marks, right? Man, he crushed it. You know him really well. So do I. Like, he crushed it. We were like, should we wait? Should we go on the market? We went on the market in September, arguably. Look, I mean, arguably, like, this is what's happening in September. This is what was happening in September last year, right? 24. So prices, like we were just seeing number of transactions drop, and it went to pandemic lows. It was trending towards pandemic lows. And we sold that house for $950,000 because one buyer showed up and wanted to buy that property. And frankly, that was a huge number. Huge number. He is one of the anomalies. And we got it done during September because there was a buyer out there. And so if you're thinking about selling, you might as well just put it on the market and see who shows up, right? Versus wait and miss and absolutely guarantee that you're missing that buyer, like, because you're not on the market. So that's my opinion. It's not like a perfect scientific answer, but it's
I get it. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
That's it. And so you go on the market when you're ready. That's all. That's all.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about the housing market update, or before we move on here?
What other questions?
I know we have plenty of stats, so I didn't know if there was anything else that you really wanted to touch on here.
This was interesting. And we did a whole thing on this, right? So we're just kind of regurgitating what we already talked about. But the average list price is up 2.92% year over year. So while prices are falling, sellers are listing their property on average almost 3% more than the previous year, right? I just thought that was pretty interesting. Now, with that being said, if you look at the median list price data, it's down 3.5%. So on some level, I think we're getting to that moment where sellers are all on the same page. For the most part, I don't have to I have the discussion, but the sellers all agree and have been watching the news, et cetera, and believe that prices are coming down now, right? That's a thing. That's totally a thing. Prices are coming down. Yeah. So that's the average list price data. I know we say median there, but average list price is down 3.5%.
Yeah, excellently put.
Yeah. Yep. So it's all good. And so
here we got the average list price.
Yeah. And the average list price is up. But so this to me is an example of why we look at median and average, right? And this is what we talk about all the time. And when you see conflicting numbers like this, to me, this signals that like next month or the month after, at some point, they're all going to be pointing negative. They're all going to be kind of aligned, assuming we have steady state market conditions, which we kind of do. It's like trending down, steady state-ish, right? So next month or the following month, we'll probably see these average kind of align with or go closer to zero, and kind of align with the median. We talked about this. Averages can be skewed by major listings,
especially in a market like this.
Totally, yeah. In Boca Raton, where you can have a $100 million listing, and then
right down the street from a $600,000 one.
Yeah. So they'll skew the data a little bit, which is why median is the number to look at. But I just thought that was interesting overall. It's like still people are kind of not getting it. And we have a number of clients like that, but you know what it is?
No.
You know what I think it is though? It goes back to our comments earlier, John. It's maybe people get it, but they just don't have a choice. They're either going to list it at this price and sell it, or they're going to delist.
I can see that.
right? So it's just like, hey, let's just put it out there. And we're doing this for a number of clients right now. Put it out for sale, put it out for rent. And more times than not these days, we're renting it because they just can't get the number they need in order to move on, in their opinion. So I think that's big. Yeah, we can talk all day on this. I'll let you see if there's anything else. Anything else you think is interesting to talk about on this?
I do like some of these national charts since we're kind of expanding a little more of what we're talking about. I did like this just because, we're so hyper-focused naturally on South Florida that I'm just kind of like, all right, well, what's going on in the other parts of the country? And it does seem like to a certain extent, having Miami being the representative for, South Florida here, how, delistings, for example, I mean, this was just the national chart we had, that there aren't too many other places that are like that. I mean, granted, it is kind of a lot higher in the Southwest, particularly in Southern California and Arizona. I did kind of find this chart interesting just because it kind of gave a little more of a pulse on what's happening elsewhere.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting actually. When I flipped it to you, I was like, hey, this is alarming to a degree. We're like the worst. South Florida's feeling it the most, which I thought was interesting. Also, I pulled up the this other app that we use. Let me add to stage. You can share my screen.
Oh, I did.
Oh, look at that. You're in control. All right. This I thought was interesting. Okay, so this is just like median home values, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or average home values. I'm not sure if it's median or average. Either way, it's kind of interesting to see. Like, Dade is 528,000, Broward 432. So you can see this county relatively pricey.
Yeah.
And then Palm Beach, still pretty pricey. I found this pretty interesting. If you're just talking about Florida in general, you can see why migration is north in Florida. Like it starts people from the south in Miami as an example, or Palm Beach start to move north to a degree because of these prices. Look at how cheap these are. It's half in some cases.
Central Florida, yeah. There's a lot of opportunities. Being on the email list of Ken Posick, I always see like Central Florida house sales now, and I'm looking at them like, man,
totally.
Like this is like, and they're a lot of them are very nice houses, and they're like for a fraction of the price. I'm like, geez.
Yeah, it's great. But so people tend to relocate and move that way because of these prices. What I found interesting was St. John's is like arguably one of the most expensive. Miami's basically the most expensive. This is unique. This isn't like a big county here. So, but Miami's basically one of the most expensive, which is pretty interesting. I wanted to share.
I mean, even where Tampa is. I mean,
yeah. Hold on. So this I thought was interesting too. If you just look at these stats, home value growth year over year, everything is negative.
Right.
This is again, like I don't know how else to say this, right? How many different ways we could say this, but the market is softening substantially, and it's so obvious now with this new data coming in from this past quarter. And I mean, pretty like Palm Beach County, 4.7%. This is year over year data again, comparing. This is just May. So we're in June, so they haven't caught up yet. So this stuff isn't as updated as our stuff is. But it's pretty wild. My guess is these numbers get worse as they go to May, go to June. And as we move through the summer, my guess is these numbers get worse. So, and I don't know, prices ran away for a while. So I think it needed that. This is also interesting. Overvalue percentage. What's nice is Palm Beach County, not so bad compared to the others, but these are huge numbers.
Yeah.
15% overvalued. Wow.
I'm kind of surprised by St. Lucie, to be honest.
St. Lucie, 32%. You got to take these numbers with a grain of salt. Everything's like, get in the market, understand what's going on. make your own assessments. But let's just say broadly, homes are technically overvalued, right? At some percentage in Florida. And so could property values drop by 15% in Palm Beach County? I mean, we're seeing 12. 15 is a huge number. We're seeing
suddenly
12.
It looks so unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not crazy to say these things. So it just goes back to what do you do now, right? Like, what do you do if you're a buyer, investor, seller? How do you think about this? And this really comes down to personal decisions overall. I think it's just, if you can hold the property for 3 to 5 years as a seller and you're not getting the number you want or you can't get out of it just because you literally can't, maybe the loan's too much or you can't come up with a check at closing. I mean, we have clients that have written $100,000 checks at closing just to get out of these deals. So they literally came to the table. Usually sellers get paid when they sell, right? These sellers are paying to sell, which is wild. And we have a number of people already accepting that. They're on the market. They're like, if we sell at this price, which we're listed at, we are going to have to come to the closing table with a $50,000 check. Okay. And so we're seeing that quite a bit. So if you're a seller and you're trying to think through, do I sell now? Do I wait? My typical suggestion is like, if you need to get out in the next or it makes sense for you to get out in the next 6 months to 2 years, you probably are better off doing it now, just because you're more likely to sell at a lower price if you wait. Again, patient sellers in this market, it feels like they're going to get hurt a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So probably sell now. If you can wait, then wait it out. But that's a 3 to 5 year outlook, in my opinion. Like you just, I mean, if prices are coming down by 12%, how long is it going to take to get back? Prices don't just rebound by 12% the year after, right? It doesn't happen. They usually grow at 2-3% a year, right? If we're talking about just like a normal market. So 3 times 4 is 12. So, right. So just do that math, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like everybody's gotten a little more impatient just because everything caught fire like that. It wasn't like a steady trend upward. I mean, it was seemingly overnight.
Yeah. So it was seemingly overnight, and that's not normally how the market moves. The market moves like that when you drop interest rates from 4.5, 5.5 to 0.
And suddenly everybody wants to get out of Dodge because of this whole pandemic and so on.
Yeah. When you make a mortgage rate move of like 2 or 3%, like you start to make that starts to work. And you had the population growth. That was the other thing. That's a good point. So like, just look at this. Hold on. Population growth. This is interesting. I thought you'd find this interesting, John, because we've talked about this a bunch. Miami-Dade, population growth negative 2.7%. Broward, 0.5%. So this is talking about growth. Palm Beach County, 3.2%. Look at Osceola, 18%, 15%, 19%. I mean, these counties are rocking. South Florida is barely holding its own. And so likely we're experiencing softer numbers than this because this is 23 data. And so we don't have 24 data yet for population growth, or decent 24 data. So
right.
That's interesting. That's interesting. And so if population growth is slowing, then man, we have like a little bit of a perfect storm here. It's going to be tough. And again, prices have gone up so much. So if you got caught in that like 22, 23, 24 purchase period, unfortunately you might be a little jammed, or you just hold it and you ride it out. You're fine, right? It's all good. If you could just live it out. But if you own this since 2019 or earlier, then there's nothing to complain about. Like, yeah, maybe you didn't time the market perfectly,
right?
But you still made a bunch of money that you otherwise wouldn't have, or in equity, or if you sell, you'll still make a bunch of money. So yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay, I was going to say I feel like we still got a lot more we can talk about here, particularly with the pushback that's going on with Boca Lago and Lennar Homes that are looking to make a pretty large dent in terms of a mega development. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, and we were kind of laughing about this before we came on, was how there was a town hall, if you will, to discuss what's happening there. And Lennar was so deeply concerned about it, they didn't even bother showing.
Gangster.
Oh man, yeah, it really is. That, I mean, it's like you talk about saying it all by saying nothing.
Yeah,
That is a perfect example for anyone who's not familiar with the situation. What had happened was Boca Lago obviously is considered to be one of the quiet corners of Boca Raton, but then Lennar rolled in with this plan of building 762 new homes. And the neighborhood exploded, battle lines are drawn, and bulldozers are waiting. So I guess the plan, and you can look at it as Larry's showing us here, the website launched for the project called Boca Lago Together to buy and build on 9 holes of this 27-hole golf course that's on Boca Lago. Nearly 2,000 age-restricted homes nearby in a neighborhood coalition that's deeply organized, angry, and ready to throw down. Residents say the project will overwhelm traffic. Of course, it's always traffic. Strain public infrastructure and destroy the character of their community. Larry, what are your thoughts?
I mean, so we have some listings in there right now. So
do we?
Maybe I should keep my mouth shut.
I'll talk that. I'll just, I mean, hey, the other guy's talking. Who cares? So the community wants to maintain all 33 acres of natural preserve. Which, I mean, sometimes I understand that. I mean, reconfiguring the remaining course into a PGA-rated 18-hole layout, incorporating a new driving range. This is all Lennar, excuse me. Which is like, I think that's great. It's not like, because I was a little confused at first, not knowing everything about Boca Lago. So I was like, oh, they want to take up 9 holes. Well, it's a 27, they got 27 holes out there. It's not like they were taking an 18 hole and cutting it down to 9. I was like, well, that changes things a little bit. It's always something. I could understand when we were talking either last week or 2 weeks ago, what was going on in Boynton with the Nichols Forest or whatever. I'm like, being a conservationist to a certain extent at heart, I can understand that. But it's like, you already have a community here, guys. You just don't want anyone else to come in. You're like, oh, Boca Lago's a rockin', don't come a knocking. Let's be honest. You're like, oh, we don't need anyone else. It's like, it looks really nice what they're trying to do. I don't imagine it would hurt your property value. Like, just I feel like so often it's just like, it's that Simpsons meme that you've seen a million times where Grandpa Simpson, it's like, old man yells at cloud or whatever. Like,
I think, remember when we were filming outside of the city of Boca Raton and we met, I forget who he was. He was somebody within the city that, we were asking him like, just, hey, what's going on with this project or that project? Right. And we were chatting with him about it. And he made a comment about one of the projects, and that was like an infill, like in city project. And he said, it's better that we build density in the areas that are already kind of dense, right? The areas that we've already destroyed, right? Like from an environmental perspective, like there's no trees here, or there's not a lot of trees, whatever. And versus go out into the Everglades and start building all this stuff. And so he made that comment. And so he was somewhat pro, let's do this here instead of what was that big fight that we had out in West Boca or West Del Rey too, right? Where they were like taking this agro land, right? And like they're trying to build on it. It's like, I kind of get that. Like I get like, maybe don't do that. Like we're good. Let's build some stuff in a more dense area. And so long story short, you have a golf course. We've already kind of
27 holes.
That. Yeah, we already kind of destroyed that area to a degree. It's no longer you've put dirt there, you've irrigated it. It's not like habitat for endangered species.
Right. I was going to say the Florida panther that has its endangered, has its nests and dens set up on the golf course.
Yeah.
It's the last refuge of the bald eagle.
So if we're talking just from an environmental perspective, I'm like, do it. It's probably better to do it here than somewhere else. Let's keep doing it in these like dense areas. If we're talking zoning, traffic, etc., I mean, this is the comment they make every time. There are a lot of units, 762 units, townhomes and condos, right? It's a fair amount of units. This is great. They emphasize maintaining all 33 acres of natural preserve untouched, reconfiguring the remaining course. It's not really a natural preserve.
Right. This isn't the tropical rainforest.
It's just like, I get it. Like there's whatever, like I get there's value to it, but it's not like building out in the middle of the Everglades, right? And just destroying habitats. So the traffic thing, I get, but it's like, it is what it is. Like that's not an argument either. So the only other argument is like, hey, you're building a condo or townhome right behind a condo that I've owned forever. And I'm looking at a golf course, and now I won't be because I'll be looking at, a building.
And not to mention when I see age restricted homes and you're worried about the traffic, it's like, where are you going anyway? I'm a man about town still, I'm 90 some odd years old. I'm happy. I'm all over the place. Like, stop it.
So true. You know what else too? Like new, population. So like you add 800 people to this area, you have another new restaurant that pops up because it can, because it can exist here now because of X, right? So you get more amenities, and they're usually new amenities, and they're nicer because they were just built, etc. So the amenity piece is kind of interesting. So I don't know, generally speaking, I'm pro this. People have said, you're young, you like that stuff. That's what, whatever. But I don't know. That's my opinion. So what do you think, John? Let's make a bet right now. Do you think this gets done or not?
I do. I think it's going to get done.
Man, I do too. I just
don't imagine seeing senior citizens tying themselves to trees and whatnot, keeping.
Just because Lennar, this is why I'm making this bet. Just because Lennar was like, everybody's there. I don't feel like going.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean,
sure
I can't think of much more of a proverbial middle finger than that. It's just
they're just like, listen, we're doing what we want.
We'll take that under advisement. Anywho, we break ground tomorrow.
I actually, it probably wasn't the way we're depicting it, just for factual sake. Who knows?
But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story.
But it sounds awesome. Right. This is great. This one guy says, no compromise, 0 units.
Right.
Oh man,
from my cold dead hands.
Yeah.
Jeez, whatever. We're going to move on to talking about
this is beautiful. Just real quick, I know you want to. Yeah, well, let's move on. But here, this guy said, if we could impose $100K buy-in fee on the buyers at Boca Lago, this would not be happening. She added. She said,
and a lot of people wouldn't be buying in then.
Yeah. So, So you're talking about property values.
Oh, you mean the new ones? I thought you meant like when Boca Lago.
No, the old ones. Yeah,
okay.
So they're saying basically
people can't even afford their condos anymore. And you think you're going to have $100,000 buy-in?
There's no way. How could you? People who already live there are going to get are going to just come up with $100,000.
We'll tack it on, on top of the structural assessments.
Yeah, cash. That's insane. So that's like a ridiculous statement. And then if you did impose that, immediately property value goes down by $200,000, right? Condo values drop because you can't sell it to a normal buyer anymore. Right. We see that. I mean, it's obvious. Go look at Boca West condos and price them compared to these. These will sell for way more than Boca West condos will all day, just because Boca West has got a $150,000 fee.
Oh, does it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Boca West is a country club. So if you just turn this into a country club, like a big membership buying country club like that, that's crazy. What is this? Somebody just made a comment. Y'all didn't see it. A man showed up and held a screenshot of the mayor on Fox.
On Fox. Oh, I did see that the mayor was on Fox News recently.
That's so funny.
I think that's what they're referring to.
Oh, interesting. No, I did not see it. Thanks.
No,
for
I only see him when I'm putting together stories and using, Nat sound from when he's starting the town or the city council meetings.
Yeah.
But it's nice that they always have all the video readily available.
And that actually is super helpful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Preserve our green space. Say no to Lennar. All right, let's talk about our last thing for today. This is pretty cool. This was interesting when I found this out. This happened like less than 30 days ago, or about 30
Oh,
days
we're
ago.
talking about Sears.
Let's talk about Sears.
Let's talk about Sears. Anytime I see like a video or a picture that shows the skyline of Chicago, and I always see the Sears Tower, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not called the Sears Tower anymore because Sears doesn't exist. I always forget what they call the damn thing now.
I don't know what they call it.
I don't know. I'm not in Chicago. I don't care.
This is cool. So Boca Raton had a vacant Sears store forever. It feels like forever now. It's been a long time. And it's always been this thing. We've even brought this up. Like, what are they doing with this thing, right? And we talked about how they had a lease and all this other stuff that was valuable and somebody was paying them for it, whatever. But now Sears sold their Boca Raton location for $23 million. And this is interesting. We have no idea what they're going to do with it. The new buyer is, who is it, John? It's a Simon Property Group. So, and they seem to do this. They've bought other vacant Sears. They have some experience. We have kind of a list of things they did that were cool. Phillips Plaza in Atlanta. Simon transformed.
Oh, I know Phillips Plaza. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You live there. By adding a Nobu hotel and restaurant, luxury residences, and lifetime fitness center, turning it into a lifestyle destination. So that's like a pretty big play, right?
Yeah.
That's like that's not just like, hey, we're just going to put some stuff in there, right? I mean, this is like, hey, we're going to
place. That was nice. That was one of the real nice parts of Atlanta. I think that was like Buckhead or whatever.
Okay. And then Seattle, they did some cool stuff. A former Sears was redeveloped into a mixed use space with entertainment and dining options to boost local appeal. So again, big redevelopment. That Sears space is, did they say how many square feet? It says it here somewhere.
200,000 square feet. That's a lot.
Yeah. The parcel includes a 201,000 square foot building on nearly 15 acres. 15 acres in Boca for $23 million. Feels like a freaking deal.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like, wait a minute.
Right. We've looked at these numbers over and over again, right? We've seen people pay hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Again, some of that stuff was waterfront, so that's a different discussion. But still, this feels like a good deal for Simon Group, and it seems like they have some experience.
I was gonna say in a very prime location. Wow, good for them.
So this is a place I know actually well, King of Prussia. I grew up somewhat close to here. Simon has enhanced this property. Yeah, King of Prussia in Pennsylvania. Simon has enhanced this property with luxury retailers and experiential elements, capitalizing on high income demographics. So that's interesting. So they just kind of redeveloped what they had there. So maybe that's what happens. And so that seems interesting. And so let's actually, this is pretty interesting too. We've skipped around a lot because I'm so interested in because this has been a thing, right? So Who knows? This is probably still years away from being something interesting, probably, but at least some things happened. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I said forever, right? It's been untouched for over 5 years, owned by a company called Seritage, if I'm saying it right, an eyesore and unrealized potential in one of the most valuable zip codes in South Florida, right? So, and this is interesting. Town Center Mall is one of the highest performing malls in Florida, if you didn't know that. So,
I believe that. Which
kind of makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And Simon has a track record of turning dead department stores into luxury wings, hotels, and residential towers. This is why Seritage sold to Sears in Boca. Sold to Sears in Boca. Why Seritage sold to Sears in Boca. So 2015, the Sears spinoff, Sears was struggling. So they spun off 235 of their best real estate locations into a company called Seritage Growth Properties. The idea Seritage would redevelop those old Sears Kmart stores into something more modern and profitable. But to do that, they borrowed $2 billion. Holy smokes, including a major loan from Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Then
I'm still laughing at the name Seritage, to be honest with you.
You right?
It just sounds like the most corporate merger name I've ever heard.
That's so funny. That's so true.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like Saratoga and Heritage, so we decided to call it Seritage. Sign here.
So then, let's see what 2019 brings. Simon, the owner of Town Center Mall, found out Seritage wanted to redevelop the Boca Sears into non-retail, like apartments or office. But under the 1985 agreement, Simon had legal control of what kind of development could happen. Simon sued Seritage to block the kind of project and protect the mall's retail footprint. That's interesting and depressing, in my opinion. Right? Like, just that would have been cool if they redeveloped it. So now 2022, 2023, Seritage runs out of time. The Berkshire Hathaway loan was coming due. Seritage started selling off dozens of properties to pay back debts. God, this Sears is just making bad decisions left and right, including malls, old Sears stores, and redevelopment parcels. Let's see. A Palm Beach judge ruled in favor of Simon. Bum, bum, bum. That's interesting. The decision, Seritage had to list the Sears site for sale, and Simon had the right to match any offer. Interesting. So Simon wins, which is the owner of the mall. And so you can't build too much cool stuff there, it sounds like. And they have to sell it. So my guess is, if I had to make a bet here, these guys sold this thing. This is why it sold for $23 million. This is exactly why, right, John? It's like they couldn't do everything they dreamed of without a huge legal battle. And there was precedent that you can't do it because they fought and lost. So now it's like, okay, well, you got to sell this and do something cool with what exists there, or something basically retail specific, it sounds like. So likely this improves the mall at least. But my hope was that they put, like you saw, what's the one just west on Glades, all the way down. There's a redevelopment parcel that was rebuilt up. They put a bunch of retail on the ground floor. They have a whole bunch of awesome stores, but then
I know what you're talking about. I'm terrible with some of those names.
They have this big apartment building there, which is really nice.
Was that right where some of the crew were eating the other night?
Probably. Actually,
that's where they were.
Where it was.
Yeah, so, I know where that is.
Either way, I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
I know what you're talking about.
It'll come to me later, I guarantee it. But it's one of the nicer locations out in West Boca, right off Glades. It's kind of by Lotus Edge and Lotus Palm. And anyway, so they redeveloped that area. And so I was kind of hoping they would do something grand and big and put some more condos or apartments and build something awesome. That space is huge. There's so much you could build up on. And then, by the way, you wouldn't be destroying ecological preserves out west, as we talked about earlier. Like, develop the stuff in downtown and leave the Everglades alone.
Right.
And that's probably the move.
The Gators need their space. All right.
Yeah, leave the Gators there. Otherwise, they're coming here.
Yeah,
and that's not going to be fun. So, yeah. So, long story short, my bet is they redevelop this just kind of as a retail thing and not too much else. But it'll probably be pretty cool. It'll make this mall even better long term. So, anyway.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Well, just like that, we've hit the hour mark. Do we want to go any farther talking about the Town Center Mall, or let's call it here?
We can call it. It's all good.
Right. We're going to call it here as we wrap up once again. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. On behalf of Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida, and everyone have a great night, and we'll see you all again soon.
See ya.